Today we are answering the question at hand, how to buy your first multifamily small apartment building. By the end of the video, not only will you learn how to identify and acquire your first small apartment building using 5 proven strategies, from sourcing off-market deals to creative financing options that require minimal cash, but you'll also discover why starting with 5+ units instead of 4 could mean tens of thousands more in your pocket.
One of the nation's top real estate investors. Within only 7 short years, Dave Seymour has transacted millions of dollars of real estate and has become one of the nation's leading experts in both residential and commercial transaction.
Look, while you're watching this video, 2 things are happening. 1, your retirement funds are losing value to inflation. And 2, small apartment buildings in your market are being snapped up by smart investors who know something that you don't. But today, I'm going to show you what they know. I'm going to break down exactly how to buy your first multifamily property the right way, and we're going to cover the 5 critical things you need to know. First, I'll show you the personal benefits of small multifamily apartments that most people miss completely. Second, we're going to dive into the investment benefits that make these smaller deals absolute gold mines when you know what to look for. Third, I'm going to teach you how to create your own deal flow so you never have to fight over the scraps on the MLS. Fourth, I'm going to show you why we start at 5 units and not 4. Trust me, this one detail could mean thousands in your pocket. And fifth, I'm going to give you not 1, not 2, but 5 different ways to finance your first apartment deal. So, are you ready? What makes these smaller multifamily properties so powerful is not just about the numbers, it's about the control it gives. Control over your investment, your returns, and most importantly, control over whose financial future? Your financial future. But first, let's talk about the personal benefits of small multifamily apartments that most people completely miss. Starting with mental bandwidth. See, when you're dealing with an 8-unit property, you can visualize every aspect of that deal. The units, the tenants, the cash flow, it's all manageable in your head. Try doing that with a 100-unit complex. Well, you simply can't. You'll get overwhelmed before you even start. And what you can't clearly understand, you can't effectively control. Next is the equity requirement. You see, these smaller properties typically need less capital to acquire them. So instead of trying to raise millions, you might only need $50,000 or $100,000 to get started. Now that's a game changer for most investors. Now here's where it gets really interesting. With smaller properties, your creative financing options multiply. Why? Because you're typically dealing with a different class of seller. These aren't corporate entities with teams of lawyers. These are often individually owned, maybe retiring landlords who might be open to a creative solution. That means more room for negotiation and more flexibility in deal structure. You see, the creative flexibility becomes your secret weapon in this market. Because when you're dealing with smaller properties, you don't need $1 gazillion to close the deal. Look, if you can be creative with it, we're talking hundreds of thousands, tens of thousands, or maybe even just a few $1,000s to get started. Another advantage most people miss completely is that with smaller properties, you might only need 1 investor to make it happen. Let's say you need help with the down payment, or maybe your credit isn't perfect. But since we're dealing with smaller numbers, 1 investor might be all it takes to get you across the finish line. Now, let's talk about the investment benefits that make these properties absolute gold mines. First, you're dealing with dramatically less competition. Why? Well, the hedge funds, the REITs, and the large institutions aren't fighting over these properties. They can't deploy enough capital to make it worth their time. Second, they're typically dealing with less sophisticated owners. I'm talking about individual investors, maybe a husband and wife team who often leave money on the table. Maybe they're afraid to raise rents. Maybe they're not maximizing the property's potential. That is your opportunity. Third, negotiating these deals is far simpler. You're dealing directly with decision makers, not large ownership groups or corporate committees. That means faster decisions and more room for creative solutions. Fourth, These smaller properties often deliver higher cash-on-cash returns per unit. That's right. Smaller can actually mean more profit. And fifth, if wholesaling is your thing, these properties are easier to flip to other investors. Why? Well, because there are simply more buyers out there for smaller deals. Now, the best deals never hit the public market. I'm going to show you two powerful methods to get deals coming directly to you. First, we'll talk about working with real estate agents the right way. And second, I'll show you how to create a precise direct mail marketing campaign that gets results. The goal for both methods is exactly the same thing: getting pocket listings and off-market deals before anyone else. These are the deals that you can actually make money on. But before we talk about the first method, which is working with real estate agents, you need to get crystal clear and know exactly what it is you're looking for. Your target is 5 to 20 unit apartment buildings with clear upside potential. I'm talking about properties where you can raise the rents, fix management issues, do some strategic rehab, or boost low occupancies. But what we're not looking for and what we're staying away from are war zones and properties that are 100% vacant. Now, when you're starting out, you don't need that kind of risk. Your first step is to go to loopnet.com and search for multifamily properties in your target area that fit our criteria, 5 to 20 units. But you're not actually after those properties, let me be clear. You're after the relationships with the agents who have access to deals. Think about this for a second. By the time a property hits LoopNet, it's been picked over by that agent's A-list clients, everyone in their office and everyone on the MLS and anything else out there in the public domain. But when you build a relationship with that agent, you can get deals before they hit the market. You become the first person the agent calls when they get a new listing. All you have to do is position yourself as a serious investor looking for specific opportunities. Tell them exactly what it is that you want, which is properties with upside potential where you can add value through better management, strategic rehab, or occupancy improvement. That's it. Exchange contact information, follow up with a simple email thanking them for their time, and start building that relationship. Your ultimate goal is that when that agent gets a new listing on Monday morning, you want to be the first call. Not their 10th call, their first call. Now, let's talk about your second strategy, direct mail marketing. This is about going straight to property owners and bypassing the middleman and finding deals before anyone else knows they exist. What makes direct mail so powerful is the fact that you're getting three unique advantages that most investors, well, they just miss it entirely. First, you're cutting out the real estate agent. That means there's no middleman to muddle things up on the negotiations or add that 6% premium to your purchase price. You're dealing directly with the decision maker. Now, second, when a deal comes directly from an owner, there's often a perception that it's a better deal. Sometimes that's true, and sometimes it's not. But you can use that perception to your advantage. Third, these deals are simpler to wholesale if that's your exit strategy. Now, there are three keys to running a successful direct mail campaign. The first key is to target absentee and out-of-state owners. See, these owners often have problems with cash flow, property management, maintenance issues. And because they're physically removed from the property, they're usually mentally and emotionally detached as well. That means they're looking for solutions, not holding on to problems. And when you start sourcing your list, you're going to find anywhere from 250 to over 1,000 property owners. That's a lot of potential deals that most investors never see. Now, the second key is to use a fresh list from a reliable source. You want the largest data aggregator of real estate information in the nation. Bad data means wasted money and missed opportunities. And the third key is absolutely crucial. You need to understand that this is a campaign, not a one-time mailing. Think about political campaigns. They don't just send one letter and hope for the best, do they? You need to reach out every 4 or 5 weeks, at least 3 to 5 times. That's the average time it takes to get a response from a property owner who's actually interested in selling. The goal here isn't just to find any deal, it's to find the right deal. You're looking for situations where you can create value. Maybe the owner is tired of managing from across the country. Maybe they're dealing with some tenant challenges. Maybe they're just ready to retire. Whatever that situation is, your mail piece needs to position you as the solution to their problem. Now, Now, there's a reason why we start at 5 units and not 4. Now, this isn't just some random number. This could mean tens of thousands of dollars in your pocket. You see, when you buy a 4-unit building or smaller, you're still playing in the residential space. That means your property value is constrained by sales comparables in the area. For example, let's say properties in your area are selling for $50,000 a unit. With a 4-unit building, you're looking at a value of, you got it, $200,000. And you can fix it up, raise the rents, run it perfectly, but by the end of the day, your value is still tied to what other properties sold for in the area. But at 5 units and above, well, now you're in commercial territory. Now your property value is determined by 2 things. Sales comparables, yes, and your net operating income. Your net operating income, or NOI, becomes your main driver of value. For instance, if you say, buy a 5-unit building, and over 2 years you raise the rent by $100 per unit per year, multiply that by 5 units, that's $500 extra monthly income coming in. Now, over a year, that's $6,000 in additional net operating income. Now, in commercial real estate, your property value increase based on your NOI divided by what we call the cap rate. We'll say an 8% cap rate is a conservative number in today's market. Let's take that $6,000 NOI increase. We're going to divide it by 8%, and you've just increased your property value by, you got it, $75,000 just by raising rents reasonably over 2 years. You can't do that with a 4-unit, but you can with a 5-unit. With a 4-unit building, well, you're stuck waiting for the market to move up. This is why we start at 5 units. One simple change in strategy can mean significantly more profit potential. Now, let's talk about how to finance your first multifamily apartment deal. I'm going to show you 2 main approaches, conventional and creative. Conventional financing works much like getting a loan for a house. You prepare a loan package, bring 25% down, and the bank finances the other 75%. Right now, apartment financing rates and terms are actually comparable to single-family homes, which means it's a great time to get into the market. And when you're looking for conventional financing, you got 2 routes, local banks or loan brokers. With a local bank, you're dealing with a salaried loan officer who takes your package to a loan board for approval. They get paid whether your deal closes or it doesn't. But a loan broker, well, they work purely on commission. And if they don't get your deal done, well, they ain't gonna get paid. Think about who's going to work harder for you. A good loan broker will take your package and shop it to 20, 30, maybe even 40 different lenders to find the right fit. That's especially important if you need some flexibility in how the deal is structured. But what if conventional financing isn't an option? Well, that's where creative financing comes in, and this is where dealing with smaller properties gives you a massive advantage. Let me show you 4 powerful ways to structure creative deals when conventional financing isn't a right fit. First, seller financing. This is where the seller becomes the bank. Let's say you find a property that's free and clear. Maybe it needs some work and traditional lenders won't touch it. With seller financing, you give the seller a down payment, make payments directly to them for a few years, and then you refinance into conventional loan products once you've stabilized the property. The second option is what's called seller carry. Let's say the bank wants, 25% down, but you only have 10%. The seller might be willing to carry a second loan for that 15% difference. Now, not every bank allows this. Some do, some don't. It's a powerful way, though, to get deals done when you're short on the down payment. The third option is my personal favorite. It's called the master lease. This is probably the most powerful tool for buying apartment buildings when you're starting out. Why? Because you don't need extensive experience and you don't need a ton of cash and you don't have to qualify for a bank loan. Ticks all the boxes, right? You get all the benefits, the cash flow, the appreciation, the tax benefits, without having to go through traditional financing challenges. The fourth and final strategy, well, it's the wholesaling. And if you're just starting out with limited capital, wholesaling these smaller apartment deals could be and can be a great way to build up your cash reserves. All you have to do is find a good deal, get it under contract, and assign that contract to an investor buyer for a fee. We're talking potential fees of $25,000 to $30,000 or more, depending on the size of the deal. But let me be frank with you. After years of doing deals and helping others do the same, I've seen exactly what separates the winners from those who just talk about getting started. It comes down to 3 critical things. First, you got to get a little ambition going. I'm not talking about just wanting to make something or wanting to earn extra money. I'm talking about the kind of ambition that makes you get up early, stay up late, and keep pushing when others quit. The more ambition you have, the more money you're probably gonna make, and the more lives you get to impact. Now, second, persistence. This business isn't about doing one deal and calling it a day. It's about staying in the game long enough to really understand it. The more persistent you are, the longer you'll last, and in this business, longevity equals wealth. Third, you need specialized knowledge. It's exactly what I've shared with you today, yes? Yeah, the more you learn, the larger the deals you can handle and the greater your impact becomes. However, it's not just about knowing things, it's about taking action and doing things. Right now, you got a choice. You can take what you've learned today and just stick it up on the shelf and, maybe take some action. You can keep feeding your retirement to Wall Street, or you can start building real wealth through small apartment buildings. The strategies I've shown you today, from finding deals to creative financing, they all work. But they only work if you work them. You know that. The person who wins in this business isn't always the smartest or the richest. It's the one who takes the action and stays in the game committed. Now, the choice is yours. Now, what are you going to do with what you've learned today? Now, if you're interested in learning more about multifamily, I have an invitation for you to attend my free capital partnership presentation. Deployment of capital is critical, and I'm looking for partners to bring us deals. Attending this presentation is the first step to working together, and you can get access to the presentation by clicking the capital partnership link in the description, or just type this URL in your browser: legacycapitalpartnership.com. legacycapitalpartnership.com. Now, if you got some value out of the video, be sure to like and subscribe and click the bell to get notified when I post new videos. I'll see you in the next video, and you can access it right here. Take care. Talk soon.